Look into Moxie's eyes. You are getting very, very sleepy. Very sleepy indeed. All right, so we're going to talk about hypnotism in the Bible. Here's the deal. I don't know all that much about hypnosis, and so I'm not going to try to pretend I do. So the answer I'm going to give to the first question today is going to be a little bit cautious. Okay, I just don't want to overreach my own understanding and give you guys information that's a little bit off base because of that. So let me walk you through how I'm thinking about the issue of hypnosis. Then I'm going to go to your guys' 20 questions today from the live stream, because that's what we do on Fridays here. And here is the first question. And no, I don't have it ready. Okay, there it is. There it is. I'm ready. I'm ready. I broke Moxie's webcam. I tied it up with the wire just now because I busted it right before the stream. The mount for it. Anyway, just being real. I either break things or spill coffee on them. This is how it works. Okay, so question number 1. This is from Kayla Sweezy, who asks, what does the Bible say about hypnosis as a form of medical treatment? I struggle with food addiction, and I've heard that it can help by reaching the subconscious. However, I want to be super careful not to dip into the supernatural demonic realm that can sometimes happen during yoga sessions when channeling your inner self and connecting with the universe. So yeah, this is a great question. I can't say I'm qualified to fully answer it, but here's the thing. When we want to think biblically about everything, which is the goal of this YouTube channel and my ministry, helping people think biblically about everything, and of course, primarily getting them to become Christians, to see the truth and the goodness and the love and the salvation that there is in Jesus Christ. But when we want to think biblically about things, this means more than just like having the perfect answer. Sometimes it's about getting good at working through a process of thinking about something in a biblically minded fashion. So here are my thoughts. All right. What is hypnosis? This is the first question we have to ask. What is hypnosis? Because there's like a whole bunch of versions of it, and these are competing versions. And how you answer this question changes the way you answer the issue. If you think that hypnosis is the pop version where people on stages sort of manipulate crowds to do crazy, funny things, that's going to change your answer. I'm going to generally be opposed to that sort of thing personally, because I think it's manipulation. And even though it's for entertainment, just because something's for entertainment doesn't make it good. Yeah, that's something our culture needs to remember. But there's also like the idea that hypnosis just radically takes over control of you and you have no control over yourself. And I think that's generally not held amongst people who are serious about hypnosis. So I don't want to overreact to it. Some hypnosis has religious and spiritual connections to it. That's a serious issue. What are those connections? Are they legitimate? And others look at hypnosis merely as a tool to help people achieve their own goals. And it's like sort of guiding their own thoughts and assisting them in guiding their thoughts. And so it's complicated, all right? Like most things in life, it's a little complicated. So I don't want to overreact. There's two things I don't want to do. People overreact and they're like, hypnosis is demonic, therefore you can't do it, run away. I think you have to prove that. You can't just say it. And I think that there's too many Christians, to be honest, you guys. Like, I think there's too many Christians out there who take what they're suspicious of and they just call it demonic and they walk the other direction without thinking about the impact that has on people who may have non-demonic engagement with some of those things. So yeah, I also want to underreact. The other thing I don't want to do is underreact, which is to say, hey man, you do what you want to do, I'll do what I want to do. And there's a lot of believers out there who have basically very low standards for anything, because they're just kind of trying to be kind-hearted, I think. Right? They want to be approving and encouraging, and they want to think the best of people. And this can make them a little gullible to doing and encouraging and endorsing practices that have real legitimate questions. So let's talk about it a little bit. The idea of hypnosis, the thing that connects every kind of hypnosis, is the idea of suggestion. And I'm going to use a term here. Think of it as like mind surgery. Okay? I don't know if anybody else uses this term. My term for it is mind surgery, not brain surgery. Brain surgery affects your physical brain. Mind surgery, which impacts your thinking, your reasoning, the things you believe, the things you are desiring to do. So it's like mind surgery. Now, already that brings up a really significant issue, which is I wouldn't let anybody mess with my brain. Who will I let mess with my mind? That's what hypnosis is doing. It's a mind surgery thing. So there's an incredible amount of trust on the person you're asking to help you through this process. Even if you think it's legitimate, that's a big issue. Some people use it to help quit smoking. Some people use it to overcome phobias, some to deal with grief. And there are problems with it, though, well-known problems with hypnosis. For instance, false memories. Now, I've seen this in some of the in the Christian, what do they call it? Sozo, right? Sozo, which is a Greek word that means just save. But there's some who turn the sozo thing into kind of a hypnosis, Christian hypnosis type regression where you're supposed to discover these repressed memories. And one of the big dangers of hypnosis is that it can help you fabricate memories. And usually these are memories of trauma. And so there are some who go into hypnosis and they come out and now they're kind of hateful and bitter towards parents. They're sort of remembering now life in a different way than it really happened. And it's usually it seems to discover trauma. And so imagine if you raise a kid and years later he goes to a hypnotist, then he comes back to you and he's like, boy, Dad, you really messed me up. Mom, you really messed me up. And you're like, what are you talking about? Oh, I discovered these memories in hypnosis. This just shows the power of it, right? It's incredibly powerful mind surgery, at least in some instances. And false memories are a well-acknowledged thing. Like the Mayo Clinic says, hey, hypnosis, one of the dangers is false memories. Okay, if it's that powerful that it can create false memories for me, I'm probably just not going to do it. Like, that's just being real with you. It can get you to believe lies then. And if you mix spirituality with it, like they do with this, at least some of the sozo stuff that has been going around, I would say stay away from it. Yeah. But if it's acceptable at all, then it would be under these conditions, in my opinion, right? It would be, you have right motives, you have right methods, right motives on your part and the person who's doing it, right methods, whatever those are, try to find those out, right suggestion, meaning that you're being guided in believing true things and right things, and limited influence so that it becomes help and assistance and not manipulation. How do you parse that out in real life? I don't know, but those would be the principles I would try to apply to whatever situation I was in. Right motives, right methods, right kinds of suggestion, and limited influence. Scripture does sort of weigh in on this. Okay, there's no Bible verse that says anything about hypnosis directly. Not to my knowledge, anyways. But it does weigh in heavily on the idea of having a sober mind and having sort of control of your thoughts. That's a really big deal in Scripture. Over and over again, the principle of sober-mindedness. So this to me is why I say limited influence. If hypnosis is at all acceptable, it's only with limited influence. Because you never want to be, say, on stage acting like a drunken fool, because that would be a violation of being sober-minded as a Christian. You never want to be so influenced by others that they could even potentially lead you to believe false things, lies, without you filtering and considering and working through these things. So becoming too suggestible is inherently problematic for someone who wants to be sober-minded. That's in countless scriptures that talk about that. Scripture also tells us to think on whatsoever things are true in Philippians. I think that scripture weighs in on this idea of hypnosis, because even if encouraging words might help me, the question is, are they true? There's a danger with even kind encouragement that's actually misleading, teaching me lies. So I don't want that personally. There is to some degree, if you really water down the idea of hypnosis, you're going to find it everywhere to some degree. But if you're watering it down that much, then you can't call that clinical hypnosis. You can't call it a hypnotist whose job is to professionally make you suggestible. I think that's kind of a problem. So I'm not going to say it's always demonic. I don't think hypnosis inherently opens you up to evil things and demonic things. I think, though, that it opens you up to suggestibility. That's the purpose of it. That's the function of it. And that inherently has problems when it confronts being sober-minded. If you've received help from being hypnotized, good. I'm glad you have. But these concerns, at least that I have, I think they're valid either way. So yeah, I wouldn't say all hypnosis is wrong. I would say all hypnosis has a potential problem that's inherent when your goal is to make people suggestible and to bend their will and their thinking and their behavior. That's inherently going to bring in a lot of potential problems. So there's question number one. I hope that that helps you guys.